Hey, welcome back to the Club Junkie Podcast. Hopefully you're having a great week. It is Thursday. This show's coming out like just slightly late in terms of a few, maybe hours, because I just got in last night from a great trip, good media trip, and I just didn't want to do it. I flew all day, woke up early, flying from West Coast to East Coast, like the time changes, all that. I was like, I'm not getting the podcast done last night. So doing it this morning. So it is a Thursday. Good Thursday morning to you. Before we get into today's episode, just want to let you know this episode is brought to you by Titleist. And listen, Titleist is always looking for ways to help you shoot lower scores. And the golf ball you play can make a big difference. Here's something you should know about. Alignment Integrated Marketing, or AIM, are alignment lines precisely printed on your Titleist golf ball. AIM is available in a variety of different designs and colors. And Performance is tour-inspired 105-degree line available in black, red, blue, or pink. AIM Enhanced is a distinctive three-line alignment setup. Both AIM Performance and AIM Enhanced are available on Pro V1, Pro V1X, and Pro V1X Left Dash golf balls. Titleist AVX and Titleist Tour Soft golf balls are also available with AIM 360, a three-line design that wraps all the way around the golf ball. And I'm a big AIM guy. I'm the AIM Enhanced. I love that on my Pro V1X. I've actually used that line back when I played in my my group outing with everybody. I had Pro V1X AIMs on there. So that AIM Enhanced is my favorite design, but the other ones work just as well. And AIM can also help you with confidence lining up to target off the tee, which is pretty interesting. You have to see AIM designs to appreciate them. So visit Titleist.com to see all the AIM markings today. So yeah, I'm back. I can't. I can tell you, I was out west, and I was in not in Carlsbad, I guess. So unfortunately, what I went and got to see and all that, I can't talk about yet. I got to wait, I think, a couple weeks before that info is available. But it was a great trip. I had a lot of fun. The media trips are always cool because not only do you get to meet and hang out with people from a company, a manufacturer, whatever, however you want to label them, but you get to see a lot of the media people that I just don't see, a whole lot. And media trips kind of changed throughout the years. So, you don't see some of the people very often. Then you get to meet some new people. So that is always cool. But yeah, got to see a bunch of old friends and go play some golf. And I played pretty well. I do have to say, I played pretty solid. We played a course out there that was cool. It was interesting. It was tough, but not like brutal. It was fun because off the tee, it was demanding in a sense that if you hit the right shot, like if you took an aggressive line down a tree line or was able to play like a fade or a draw into a certain spot, there was great reward. You had a short iron in or whatever, and you were set up really nicely. But the nice thing is, if you totally missed the line, you weren't necessarily dead. It was, you might have to play a lower shot or maybe, play it kind of up over a tree or something, but you weren't absolutely dead. It didn't just kill you. It wasn't just a lost ball. You were able to find it, punch it out, play for maybe a par or bogey. But yeah, I played really well. It was a tale of two nines, unfortunately. I think I shot an even par 36 on the front, and then on the back, unfortunately, struggled a little bit and shot 44. So I shot 80, but it should have been. I mean, it really should have been a 79. There was a par 3, and I kind of casually didn't take the putt as seriously as I should, and I missed like a 2.5 footer up a hill. So that was my fault. It was just lack of concentration, but overall I had a good time. Had a lot of fun. But yeah, traveled, had the 5:45 in the morning flight out, had to connect in old Salt Lake City. And I've never been to Salt Lake City. It was kind of cool to actually fly over the Great Salt Lake and get to see that thing. Very massive, very cool. I've seen it in some videos and stuff like that on YouTube, but that was the first time I've actually seen it in, I guess, in person in a sense. But it was pretty cool. And then off to Detroit. So a lot of travel yesterday, and like I said, when I got home, I just kind of wanted to hang out with the family. So recording this morning, and yeah, hopefully you guys are having a good week. So we're going to jump into, I got a set of wedges that I've been meaning to talk about, and I've been playing them a bit, and then just with travel and some other stuff, I haven't done a show on them. So today's show is going to be talking about basically some wedges that you probably have never hit, which is okay. They're probably worth trying. But these are the brand new Bettinardi HLX 6.0s. So they've done a few different wedges. These are the 6.0s. It's funny, I think the wedge thing for Betnardi kind of started as just a kind of a novelty thing in a way. Let's make a kind of a cool wedge with some cool milling, all that. For kind of the collectors, the people are really into a lot of the brand. And then they have since turned into a whole line of Betnardi wedges. Now, I mean, they make, they've always made putters, but they make irons now, wedges. So you can basically play irons through putter in Betnardi products, which is pretty cool. But these are the HLX 6.0s. So yes, I believe the 6th iteration of it. I've hit, I want to say I've hit the 3, 4, and 5s, here, and now with the 6s. The 5s I still have up in my rafters up there. I think the 4s are in my brother's bag because he needed some wedges and he really liked them, so he took those. And then now we have the 6s. So the Bettinardi wedges, I've been impressed over the past few generations, the past few years. I've been impressed with them. I thought they're really solid wedges. They play really well. And the interesting thing I feel like is these have now gotten to kind of not crazy over, not crazy expensive. Like these are a high end forged wedge, and they used to be. I mean, they're $199, so they're $200, stock. You can of course add things to make them more with different shafts and things like that. But yeah, these $199 were kind of premium, higher end in a sense. And now that price with where, Vokey and Cleveland and all these other brands have kind of gone with their wedges, it's really not that much more. If anything, it's, $10 or $20. It is not a massive difference anymore. So I don't think price can anymore be the prohibiting factor from somebody trying these or putting them in their bag. So really good look. I think, of course, as you'd expect, tons of milling on the back. They got the honeycomb in the back up here, kind of on the top of the muscle, as you call it. And then you have some milling down in the bottom of it. And then the whole sole is actually milled as well. So much like kind of TaylorMade and everybody else, they have these milled soles. So, if you have a wedge that you really like, you wear it out and you want another one, you can go get the same wedge. And it is exactly the same. You don't have to worry about kind of variances with hand polishing and things like that. These come out pretty much identical every time. I mean, yes, there's a milling tolerance, but we're talking like thousandths of an inch and stuff like that. It's not going to make a big difference in terms of how this sole gets through the turf and how it plays. Where hand grinding, there can be differences. And if you talk to any manufacturer, they can tell you that hand ground wedges, they see noticeable variances in terms of, the angles, the bounce angles, the shaping, all that stuff. So these ones here, tons of milling. Faces are all milled as well. And they've got, not only milled grooves, but a milled actual face on it to make them kind of flat. And it offers like that kind of tiny micro texture. If you're watching this on YouTube, I don't think you can see it, unfortunately. It just doesn't come through on the camera. But yes, definitely high end there. Forged out of carbon steel. And, so they're soft, responsive. This year, they did say they took a little bit of weight out of the head, like 2 grams. But this head here, they did design it where the CG is a little higher. So I guess when you look at that upper kind of pad, it's a little bit thicker. There's a little notch that runs right at the bottom where they probably took some weight and shoved it up. So to have a higher center of gravity, a little bit lighter weight. And overall, though, and I think the leading edge on the higher lofts has been kind of redesigned as well. So some new things into this year. And the first thing I'll say is, yeah, beautiful on the back. So this is the chrome one. And then they also make I think they call it graphite. I just call it black, but it's graphite. But they make 2 different colors. So depending on what you like the look of, they've got an option for each. I do have to say, these ones I haven't played enough yet to kind of wear into the graphite. I know the ones that my brother has in his bag, which I think are the 3.0s. 3s or 4s. So I think maybe 4s. But anyway, the ones that he have actually held up really well. He's got like a couple seasons on them. He doesn't play massive amounts of golf, but he plays, a decent amount through the summer, and his actually still look pretty good. The soles are starting to show a little bit of that chromish wear as it's worn off some of the black finish, but they've held up much better than I thought. Some of these finishes on here, these cool, blacks and other colors, it's like one shot out of the bunker and they're chrome. They just lose everything. These have not been that way. They definitely hold their color a little bit better. So I'm assuming this is probably a similar process in terms of how it was colored. So they should hold on to their color fairly well. Now, if you're playing 200 rounds a year, I don't know. I don't know how that'll hold up. I unfortunately don't have clubs that last that long to play that many rounds. But you have 2 finishes. So you can go either the standard kind of satin chrome or the graphite. Even if you go the satin chrome, it's still kind of like a satin color or media blasted. Yeah, I'll call it more media blasted. Satin, I usually think there's like kind of small lines that run through it, like it's brushed. This one here is a little bit more. It's got a little bit of that satin to it, but it almost looks more media blasted. But either way, this thing is dull. It's matte finished. You're not going to get glare off of it. It's not an old school, high polished chrome that at the right angle can just completely blind you. So these definitely do not have to worry about glare on either finish on these. I think the shaping is a little bit unique, which I think is good. If you're going to make a wedge, there's no sense of just cloning someone else and just making a wedge. Why not make it your own? I think Bettinardi did a nice job. It actually has kind of a more of a higher toe. I won't call it a high toe wedge. When you look at the toe, it does sweep up just a little bit more, giving that appearance of a little higher toe. And then the toe there, the actual toe section is a little bit boxy. It kind of, from the very top edge, it does swell out a little bit as you get down past like the midsection, and then it tapers back in for the leading edge. But from a dress, definitely has a slightly higher toe look to it. And I know some people like that. And I think it's throughout the whole wedge set, whether it's the 50 degree, 56, 60, whatever you're playing, any of the lofts there. It has those that kind of look to it, which again I don't mind. When you first get it, you set it down, you're kind of like, oh, that's a little bit different. But once you start looking at it, it's pretty classic. And then there's a decent amount of taper from that toe down to where the hosel of the neck is. So there's definitely a little bit of roundness there. It's a little bit shorter, but overall, I'll call it a fairly classic shape. You're not going to set it down and be shocked by it. But it will look a little different, which I think some people are going to like. And, if every wedge looked identical, then there are going to be people out there who don't like the way wedges look. So, when people look at a Vokey next to a Cleveland, next to a Callaway, next to a Bettinardi, next to a TaylorMade, whatever, any of the brands, they all look slightly different. And some people gravitate towards one look compared to another. And this one here is just slightly different. But I also have to say in the sand and lob, I don't mind that being slightly higher toe, because if you play those out of the bunker, it definitely gives you a little bit more room there, where if you do, typically if you open the face, you're hitting it out of bunker, you're going to catch a little higher, a little closer to the toe, just on average. That's just kind of where the shot ends up, especially if you're opening the face for a little more loft to get the thing like over a lip or something like that. So having that a little bit of extra real estate up there, a little bit extra mass, you're probably going to get a little better result when you do hit it up there in terms of a little bit more speed carrying onto the green and a little bit more spin for some control. So pretty, not a bad thing to have just built into the design. They make a bunch of lofts. They make basically 50 through 60 in 2 degree increments. So you got 50, 52, 54, 56, 58, 60. So a good amount of options, and they make 2 different sole grinds. So the standard one, they call it the C grind, which is interesting because the C grind, there is not a ton, it's not like a C. You're not seeing like a ton of toe, heel, and trailing edge relief that actually curves around the bottom back of the sole, which is what I think most of us have been kind of conditioned to see on a C grind. Now there is a little bit of heel relief, a little bit of toe, and that back edge does drop off a little bit, but not as dramatic in terms of a visual. There's definitely a lot of camber to the sole, a lot of roundness, and when you look at the wedge, the bounce on it is pretty close to middle. It's a little bit back of middle, but 8 degrees in the 50, and then the other bounce. So the C is the lower bounce, and then where's my 56 here? The 56 is what they call the RJ bounce, or RJ sole, which is Robert J. Bettinardi. So the RJ sole is kind of named after Rob Bettinardi, who's the one who kind of started the company, or Bob Bettinardi, but his real name is Robert. But this one here has more of that C look. So a lot of toe relief, a lot of heel relief. You can kind of see a little bit more of that kind of shaping on the bottom of the sole. But the RJ is the higher bounce. So you can get this in the sand and lob wedges, the RJ. The 50 degree, 52 degree, you're only getting the C. It's the only option they make. But in the 56, 54, 56, 60, or 58, 60, you're going to get the option of the RJ or the C. And like I said, the RJ is definitely the higher bounce option. So in the 56, this one here is 16 degrees of bounce with the RJ, and 12 degrees of bounce with the C. So definitely a little bit on the higher bounce side. This company's based out of Chicago, Bettinardi is. So Chicago, Detroit, everywhere, really soft. You're not playing super firm, super tight conditions. I will just say though that the C grind I think plays a little bit like it has. I don't think it plays as much as the 12-degree number on there. I think it's a little more versatile, as well as the 16 on this one. So I went 8 in the 50, RJ in the 56, and back to the C in the 60. So, and again, when you look at the C grind in the 60, you definitely see the shaping of it is a little bit different. There's a little bit more relief on it. There's a little bit more where you can tell, like, where it's not a true hard angle. You can definitely see where they've tapered the back of this wedge for a little relief. They've definitely added a little more heel relief on the 60. So you can really open this thing up without that leading edge coming up, where on the 50 you don't need that. Most people are probably not opening up a 50 degree too much in order to hit high lofted shots. So definitely they even though they're both called C grinds, and the 60 on this one is an 8. But yeah, it definitely they massage them, they change them up a little bit depending on the progression of the set. So the 8 degree is going to have a little bit more fuller sole throughout it, and then as you do the 60 here, it kind of tapers. Most of the sole kind of focuses more in the middle of the sole of the wedge, where the toe and the heel and the back tend to drop off a little bit more aggressively. So pretty nice. They've been doing pretty much the same, C and RJ grinds for a while now. I think all the wedges after, at least all the HLXs have pretty much had those grinds on them. So definitely play well, and definitely at least gives you some options. I know everybody nowadays with wedges, that's a huge thing, is what kind of sole options they have, what fits my game, my style, my conditions, all that the best. And I think, a smaller manufacturer like a Bettinardi, who's not making near the quantity of wedges as a big OEM, it is kind of nice that you at least have 2 here, and they seem to be grinds that are pretty versatile and give you a little bit of creativity, or the ability to create with them out there on the course. So sole design, like I said, in the 50, 52, you just get C. In the 54, 56, 58, and 60, you're getting C or RJ. So depending on which one you want, and they definitely play a little bit different. So like the look, I think they did a nice job. The graphites are really cool. Like I said, you can kind of see the honeycomb milling on the top, which is pretty awesome. I'm a sucker for honeycomb milling, so anything with that on there from Betnardi, I'm a big fan of. But yeah, really good look. Fit and finish is really nice, and the kind of the technology there. They do have completely milled faces. They've got their own grooves that are pushed to the USG limit, so should offer a ton of spin, and just overall really nice looking. So out of the course, how do they play? I think they play really well. The 50, we'll start there in terms of full shots, is really good. I think feel on these wedges is maybe just a hair firmer than the 5.0s. Not much, but I did notice out there hitting balls, when you hit on a range, which is the first place I took them, you've got crappy range balls that are inconsistent, whatever. So there I was like, oh, they feel a touch firmer, but again, got different balls. So I didn't really go too far into it. And then got on the course with them, and I played 36 holes with these things. And yeah, definitely just a hair firmer. I'm not going to call it bad. I'm going to say it's a touch more crisp than the previous ones. If you want, zero firmness, and you just like a really, super crazy soft feel, yes, these are going to offer a little bit more, I'm going to say a little more responsiveness than that. When you hit a dead center, you get a nice, solid, soft feel. Like I said, there's just a smidge of click to it, just a touch of firmness compared to the previous wedges. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's just slightly, slightly more crisp than the old one. Responsiveness on it is good. Wherever you hit it on the face, you're going to know. My miss is typically kind of low heel around the greens, especially if I'm hitting little chip and pitch shots. I kind of come out of it and want to look at where I'm landing it before I hit it. So I definitely hit it a little bit lower on the face. And those shots are definitely a little bit firmer. With any wedge, it doesn't matter who it is, they're always firm. I could take the softest Japanese forged whatever wedge, and when you hit it down there, it's still pretty firm. So around there, really good. Now, the nice thing is that it is a little more crisp, but when you do miss it, that doesn't go to harsh. If you kind of miss it out on the toe, or, low heel like I was hitting it, it definitely has that firmer feel. You get that little more audible click, so you kind of know where you make contact, what's kind of going to happen with this ball. But it's not harsh. And I know some clubs out there, when you start missing and you get away from center, you go from really good feeling to really rough feeling, really harsh, or really, loud. These don't get that. They kind of had this like level of they're just slightly firmer and they stay that way. They don't get crazy. So when you do miss it, you'll know it. But you're not also going to be like, wow, that just like rattled my hands, or I'm not feeling tons of harsh vibration, anything like that. You'll get that slightly louder click. You'll get that little firmer feel, and you'll know that the ball kind of came off a different spot on the face instead of dead center. But full shots are really good. You can get that feel of the ball kind of compressing out the face of the state of 50. That's the only one I really hit full shots with. 56, 60 for me are more partial stuff. 60 is pretty much around the green. But the 50 is good. I was a little nervous with the 8 degrees stamped on the bottom. I typically play a higher bounce much higher bounce gap wedge. 10, 12 degrees is typically where I lean to. So the 8 I was a little bit nervous of. I thought there was going to be a little bit of digging. And honestly, if you hold this thing up and you kind of look at how that sole sits, it definitely looks like it's more than 8 degrees. Now the bounce on this one is kind of pushed further back where this thing comes down, but it gets through the turf really well. It's quick through the turf. It's smooth through the turf. It doesn't dig as much as I thought. Now, it does get into the ground a little deeper than my Vokey 50.12F. Like that sole there is just, it's got a little bit more bounce. It's a touch wider. It doesn't take as deep of a divot. This gets into the turf a little bit more. But I think for people who play on an average to even firm conditions, this thing's going to play really well. Now, crazy soft, if you're super steep, this is going to allow you to get into the turf a little bit, and it's going to take a little bit more of a divot. One of the rounds was just a day or so after it rained. The ground was pretty soft. Like, it wasn't mushy to the point where you step and water's coming out, but it was definitely on the softer side. And one of the swings, it was my typical over the top steep on it, trying to hit it like a little hard. And I missed it left, which I usually do there, but the divot was pretty deep, pretty sizable. Now, even my 50.12F wasn't going to save that thing, but it does get into the ground if you really make it. The leading edge is fairly rounded, so it doesn't, when it hits and gets in, it's not crazy steep. It's not digging. It still wants to get, leveled off and out of that turf. But it plays, if you didn't have a number on the bottom and you just basically said it was a 50C grind, I would probably think it plays a little bit more. I probably would have guessed it was in that 10, closer to 10 degrees of bounce. So at full shots, does really well. Around the green, I think it's great because, if you're hitting those little pitch shots, like for me, a 50, if I'm like just short of the green and there's nothing in front, there's no bunkers, anything, I don't have to carry anything, I'm just basically getting this thing up over that little bit of, fringe or fairway that I have left and getting it to hit the green and release out. It's great at that. That leading edge, especially if you press it forward just a little, stays down low. You can get under the ball. You can contact it, up closer to center on those shots with no problem. And you don't have to get extra steep or whatever. You can use your normal swing there. And for me, I'm a little bit shallow there. Hitting that shot, I'm a little bit shallow. I want the club to just kind of hit the turf, glide, crawl, hit the ball, hit the turf, glide through, and kind of pop that ball up kind of low with some spin, hit the green, release out. And this was really good at that. I think this sole being a little bit lower, you can have some confidence that leading edge is going to stay down, even if you do maybe be kind of just a hair behind the ball. It is not going to bounce up and put that leading edge into the bottom of the ball and fire it across the green. So those little shots like that I hit are really good. And then out of the rough, it works really well. Yes, when the rough gets really long, the ball's sitting up, a little more bounce. Sometimes it makes it a little bit more consistent for me in terms of getting the center of the club onto the ball. But overall, I thought it was really good at hitting those pitch shots there. And I didn't really have to overthink it of, I need to come in kind of up and above and keep it off the grass to hit it center. I could just kind of play my normal thing and it would get through. So never really played it out of the trap with a 50. 50 for me is kind of more that fuller shot from about 110. It's kind of 108 now, down to about 90. And then at 90, I'm kind of debating between 56 and 50. So it depends on the shot and all that. But this thing here for those shots, I thought worked really well. And I think that sole is pretty darn versatile. And I think it plays, I think it can play a little bit more than 8 degrees of bounce rather than those full shots. And then around the green, I think it does play a little bit lower and allows you to be creative and hit some different shots with this thing. Now 50, I know you're not going to get crazy and hit high lofted shots and all that, but really good. Spin on this thing, really solid. Off the fairway, spun great, full shots in. I mean, they hit and they stopped. If you unfortunately had a little bit of slope, it was probably going to have enough spin to take that slope with you and either feed off to the right or come back at you a little bit, whatever that slope dictated. It would have enough spin where it would get that momentum moving. If it was completely flat, though, for me, I wasn't ripping balls back, but I was hitting shots that would hit the green, they would stop, and that was it. So the distance control really, really solid. And flight on these, I thought the 50 was fairly high. I didn't notice anything too crazy low, wildly penetrating, but I also never felt out of control with the 50 degrees. So good on full shots, great kind of around the green for those little chip and pitch shots that I like to hit with it, but really, really solid. And I was a fan. I liked the 50. I think it was really good. And then you get into the 56, and the 56 is where we have the RJ grind. So definitely more bounce, 16 degrees. Now, interesting enough, again, I think, when you look at this thing in terms of 16 degrees of bounce, it does have a lot, but it's not wildly, again, if you just blanked out the sole and just said it was a 56, I don't know if I would go to the level of 16 degrees, which I think is a good thing, because I think a lot of people are going to look at that sole and see that number on there, that 16, and get scared away from it. And honestly, it does not play like it has that much bounce. And what I mean by that is kind of like I explained at the 60, like a lot of times you get a lot of bounce and your strike pattern either comes down in the face, you start hitting it really low, or if you do get just slightly behind the ball, that bounce will kind of push that leading edge into the ball. You hit it really low and you hit it way farther than you need to. So you kind of just hit it thin. I've never had any problem with that. Again, I think, once I got on the course and just kind of didn't think about it, just pulled 56 and hit the shots I hit, it played really well. And like I said, that one day where it was really soft, this thing gets through the turf really well. Divots on this, definitely shallow. It gets into the turf. Same thing, leading edge a little bit, it's rounded. It's not quite as rounded, I feel like, as the 50 is. This one here is a little bit sharper. But even with it being a little bit sharper, that added bounce, it hits the turf, it gets in, and the same thing wants to level off and get out pretty fast. It's not as fast through the turf as maybe some other grinds that have less bounce, because there's just more friction there as you get in. There's just more material that the ground is getting into. So it's not insanely fast through the turf, but it definitely levels off and does not want to dig whatsoever. It doesn't matter how soft, how steep you are. It is going to kind of keep those divots to a minimum, and which is nice. And if you're somebody who is steep, especially with a sand wedge, which a lot of players they get aggressive. They want to hit a lot of get a lot of spin on the ball and hit those more kind of penetrating, spinny balls into the green. This thing's really good at that. Out of the bunker, it's fantastic. When you open it up, as you can see, as you open it up, there's just a ton of effect or dynamic bounce there. And when you open it, it floats really, really well. Now, most of it is concentrated more dead center. You can see it kind of tapers off the toe and heel a little bit, but that face, when it's open, it glides through the sand really well. Now, the sand here is firm, so in Michigan, so you kind of have to be a little aware of that. You have to make sure you get into the sand before the ball. If you play it a little too casual and you get a little close, you can definitely have this thing skip into the bottom part of the ball and it come out low and fast. So you do have to watch that a little bit. If you're playing fluffier sand, nice softer sand, this thing's going to float really well. I don't think you have to worry about that near as much. But just something I noticed in the more compact, firmer sand that we have here, at least in the courses I play. I know there's probably some nicer country clubs that have some really finer sand here that this would be great at. I unfortunately am not playing those on a day-to-day basis, so for me it doesn't quite work that way. But out of the trap, worked really well. Good float, and then when you get into shots around the green, I think anything you're playing the face square, whether it's a fuller shot or a partial shot, if you're playing the face square to the target, this sole is really good. Throw it into the turf, slam it into the turf. It is not going to get down into it. You're not going to get stuck. It is going to, the bottom part of the sole, not the leading edge, the sole's going to hit. It's going to glide through. You can kind of get almost as aggressive as you want hitting those type of shots around the green, especially off like, a fairway style lie, tighter lie. You can go after it. Don't have to worry about it. It's not going to take a divot, and it's going to hit and kind of glide through really, really well. So I loved kind of that confidence of it. And also, usually you have to kind of build confidence in that shot because you're going to swing and hit it a little bit harder. With this one, after like kind of the first one, you kind of realize like you don't really have to worry, because as you hit it in there, you don't have to worry. It's not going to get stuck. It's just going to go. So I felt like it was actually kind of a quick learning curve on this one for those little shots, those little pitch and chip shots around the green, around the fringe, or just off. Really, really well there. Out of the rough, again, up here, we've got thick, kind of deep rough. It's a little more lush. And those shots there, whether the ball was sitting up, sitting down, this thing, you could go in after it. No big deal. You weren't going to get down too deep. You weren't going to just glide under the ball. Everything there was going to be more center contact and that added bounce. As much as sometimes with some clubs, that extra mass, that extra material kind of grabs some of that longer, lusher grass. This thing got through just fine, and it was really easy to kind of hit those shots. So now the one thing where it doesn't necessarily excel, if you play a super firm, super tight lie, and you want to hit kind of a really open face shot with a 56, I don't know why you'd want to do that over just grabbing your 60. But if you did, and that's a shot you like to play, this leading edge is going to come off the ground a little bit. It just is. There's a lot of sole there, a decent amount of bounce, and when you open it up, you can see there's a lot there. So the leading edge is going to come up. It's going to be a little bit higher. You're going to have to be aware and be maybe a little bit more precise with a really open face shot of if you're using a 56 for that more open face shot off a tighter lie. I don't really do that. If it's something where I need to hit it higher to maybe hit a smaller section of the green, carry a bunker, something like that, I'm going to go pull 60. Now, I guess, yes, some people will take 56 and go that route. But for me, I just don't do that. But if you do, I will just say that you will have to be a little bit cognizant of where that leading edge is and make sure that you get into the turf at the right spot. But I thought the spin on this was really good. Whether it's off the fairway, it spun really well. Those chip and pitch shots, hit them in there, and you better fly it a decent way. You don't have to fly it all the way to the hole, but you better fly because it's going to hit, and you're going to hear it grab before it just kind of releases a little bit. Fuller shots on this thing. Definitely hit the green. They will spin back a little bit. I don't rip them back like the pros do, but I can see players who are a little bit higher spin are going to be able to do that. I'm able to hit it, stop it, and again, much like this, the 50, not even on a full shot, but on 3/4 shots, whatever, it's going to hit and just stop, and it'll have enough momentum to catch a little bit of slope if it's there. So really good spin on this. Out of the rough, spun pretty well. I will say for me on this one here, a little bit more release out of the just chip and pitch shots around, out of fuller shots. Still had a good amount of grab, but it did release just a little bit more the first couple holes where I was out of the rough, and just say you're 4 yards off the green or something like that, and you just need to kind of get it on, grab the slope and turn right down the hill or whatever you had to hit. That ball did release just a little bit more than I expected, but off the fairway lies, really great. Even when it was wet, really solid. And then the bigger the swing with the 56, the better it held onto that spin going into the green out of the rough. So good performance there. Much like the 50, I thought the feel hair firmer than the previous ones, but still good, soft, responsive, and really nice. So the 56 RJ grind was really good, and then you get into the 60, and yeah, I think this thing goes back to being super versatile. I think 8 degrees of bounce on the 60 again for me was a little bit kind of. I would say that I'm really was a little bit more concerned or questioning it, but I play a lot of different 60-degree wedges. I try a lot of lob wedges, and some of them are pretty low. I've hit T grinds with 4 degrees of bounce and things like that. And a lot of it has to do with the shaping. And this one here, a little bit fuller sole from front to back. So even though it says 8, I feel like it plays a little bit more than that. When you play it square, it's not a crazy amount of bounce. You can get that leading edge down. Get it onto the ground, especially if you press this thing just a hair forward. That leading edge is down. It's tight. It's on the turf. So if you're playing a shot off a tight condition or tight lie, you're going to be able to hit this thing, get the contact up near the center, and still hit a higher spinnier shot in there, which is really nice. And then with that little bit of relief and all that, if you open this thing up, the leading edge definitely stays further down compared to the RJ grind. It definitely doesn't come up. So again, if you're a little shallower player, deliver a little more shallow, play a little tighter lies, firmer lies. This wedge here is going to, the C grind is going to give you that ability to kind of really open the face, play that higher lofted shot while still giving you the ability to play it square, have some bounce, not dig. Now, I don't hit full shots with a 60. So in terms of full shots, getting into the turf and that turf interaction, I just don't hit those shots. But around the green, it played really well. Especially I liked it kind of off those fairway lies, those little bit tighter lies. Again, I think there's enough sole here where you can throw it into the turf. It'll kind of hit, glide through. That little bit of bounce will kind of get that ball up in the air, get moving. and it plays really well. This thing glides pretty fast through there. I love the milling lines. I think that definitely helps with it getting onto the turf, zipping through. After contact, it releases really fast, and it's quick through the turf. So the C grind, fast to the turf. RG grind, a little bit slower, but I mean, it's got more bounce, it's going to have more float. It's not going to dig as much. And this one here, again, I didn't have a problem getting it stuck, anything like that. There's still enough roundness on the leading edge. It's definitely sharper than the 50, but that leading edge being sharper, you can still get it down low, but it's not going to dig too much. Now, full shots, I could see where you're going to take maybe a slightly bigger divot on there, but for those more partial shots and shots on the green work really well. Now, the 8-degree bounce, again, having a little bit of soul. If there was a shot where the ball's sitting up in the rough a little bit, I would kind of open the face a little bit because you'd have a little bit more soul to work with, and it would kind of float through that even that rough a little bit better than hitting it square. But again, never had a shot that I had to worry about sliding under. Out of the bunker, played pretty darn well. Again, with the firmer sand, this 8-degree bounce is fine. And again, the sole's not crazy narrow. I mean, it's I would say average. So it's not crazy narrow. When you open it, there is a little bit of float there. You're going to get some help. It's going to glide through. It's interesting enough on the C ground when you open it, the bounce isn't all just dead center. It's kind of spread a little bit further from heel to toe on there. Really stable through the sand. Gets the ball up in the air. This thing's pretty flighted. I do have to say, this one I noticed it more than the other two, and maybe it's just kind of the shots because I don't have full shots, and they're all kind of partial shots that I'm hitting into the green. They definitely had a little bit flatter trajectory in the 60, the 56 and the 60 on those full shots. They still seem pretty average in terms of height, but the 60, at least for the partial shots that I hit, they did come out a little bit lower. Now, you threw the face open, threw it up in the air, it could get up in the air. The 60 you can really manipulate a little bit. And hit different height shots, but hitting it low was kind of no problem. Hitting those flat spinners into the green were pretty easy to do, and overall it's pretty versatile. Is it as crazy versatile as say like a Vokey T grind? No, I don't think you can open the face as wide as that one with the leading edge staying super tight, but it's still pretty darn good and still gets the ball, can get us under the ball, be able to hit it high, and then you can kind of play it more standard, press it forward, hit a little lower shot. Without any issues, but very versatile. Spin on this one is same thing, really, really good. Really kind of shots around the green that you just kind of get it on. It's going to have a little release. It doesn't quite grab as hard out of that rough. Out of the fairway lies, it definitely does. It grabs. You can hear the ball kind of want to grip the turf as it hits. Hear that spin kind of like tearing at the grass a little bit. It does that. And then, out of the rough, just a little bit of release. It's all pretty controlled. I had never had a lie with really all three of them that you hit out of the rough that just ran like crazy or came out with no spin, anything like that. They all were really pretty controlled and pretty easy there. So the Bettinardi HLX 6.0s, they're really solid. I think Bettinardi did a good job with these ones here. Again, the flatter launch to me definitely more noticeable, like maybe in the 60, not as much so in the 50, but they're good controlled wedges. They're very consistent. And they offer really good spin and good feel. So if you're looking for a wedge that's a little bit different, has a little bit different shape, like I said, you'd like that toe that's just maybe a smidge higher. It's not quite, it's not as high toe crazy as some of the really high toe stuff with the full face grooves, but it's kind of in between. This is a great looking wedge from address. I think the fit and finish are great. The milling on the back is, of course, just true Bettinardi in the way they do things. And overall, they're pretty good. Leading edges are fairly straight. I think a little bit more straight. I'd have to pull like my old 4.0s or 5.0s or whatever down, but they're actually a little bit more straight. Even the 60, they're a little bit more straight than I thought they would be. Not near as rounded, which is interesting because I think their irons are very rounded leading edges, but the wedges are a little bit more straight, which is interesting. So no real offset. There's like a touch of what I call hook, where you go from the hosel into the leading edge. There's just a touch of an angle there. But overall, straight leading edge, looks good from address, and I think they did a nice job. I think these things are really solid wedges. So I've been a big fan of them. The 36 holes I've got in them, I've liked them a lot, and I think they're something that if a guy in the office doesn't steal them because he really wants to hit them, I will definitely have these in the rotation more. So I'm going to let him get his time in with him as well because he's a gear junkie. So we're going to let him try them out. But if not, I will definitely be hitting those more. If you go to Bettinardi.com, you can go check out all the wedge specs, all the different options they offer, as well as some of the shafts and stuff like that. I mean, they have some length changes on there, loft changes, lie changes, and then they have a couple shafts. Mine are all the KBS High Rev 2.0s. They also offer dynamic golds, S400, S200, and a Modus 115. So a couple different options there, and then grip-wise, a bunch of different grips on there, depending on what you like. So some good options there to build them up to your specs, but yeah, really solid wedges. So Bettinardi HLX 6.0 forged, chrome, graphite, both really awesome, and I've been a big fan. So that's what I've got for you today. That's the show. So hey, man, thank you everybody who followed along yesterday on my flight, did the old Q&A. Lots of great questions that came in, so I appreciate it as always. If you want to follow me on Instagram at Club Junkie Pod, and then wherever you listen to this podcast or watch on YouTube, whatever you do, please like, subscribe, follow, whatever. I mean, all that stuff. It'd be awesome if you did. So thank you guys very much. Have a great weekend. Play some golf if you can, and we'll talk next week. Tour Championship next week. So I'm going to be down there for at least one day of it. I think I'm going to be down there for Wednesday, the Creative Classic and all that. So should be fun, and we'll see how it goes. But have a good weekend, and we'll talk next week.